Hello, happy Saturday. Welcome to Stamp and Create with Beth. I'm Beth Roy, an Independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. It is Saturday, November 15th, 2025, and I'm just going to pull up my video. So if you pop in, say good morning. If you're watching the replay, say hello. If you're new around here, just let us know where you're coming from. Oh, hello. Good morning, Joan. Thank you for the love. So this week, I've shown you some cards that feature metallic elements. So I'd love to know in the comments if you like to use metallic elements, whether it's metallic paper, embossing, or embellishments. Now, I didn't use any embellishments on any of my cards, but maybe we will today. I just kind of ran out of time this week, but I do like metallic things, but I never think to use them. And I actually, when I went looking for metallic paper, I realized I didn't have a whole lot to choose from. I had a lot of retired things. Good morning, Linda. Good morning, Deb. Welcome, ladies. So I showed this card, and we have lots of paper that has, it has a specialty item to it. Like, this is the Traditions of Christmas, and it has the gold foiling. So I used, excuse me, I used some paper that I thought matched pretty well. It's kind of, I think it was called brushed metallic. It's like a gold. And I die cut just some things to add under my greeting. And I love this. It adds a little step up to your card. Now this one, I don't think I've ever stamped and embossed on a designer series paper. So I just cut some strips of my silver paper, and then I embossed in silver, and I liked it. I thought it looked pretty. Kind of a simple card if you like embossing. But embossing's messy. So I'm not going to say I make a ton of cards with embossing because I don't like a lot of messy things and I like to just pump them out. But if you're making some special cards, this is definitely a cute thing to do. Good morning, Vicki. And my last card that I completed this week showing metallic stuff was this one. And I stamped these trees. Now, those are retired, but you could use any tree that you have. And then I tried doing the embossing on top, and I do love how it looks. And I don't know if you guys can see this really well. Let me see. Get the light on it. I have some areas where I forgot to use my embossing buddy, and I have all these little like sprinkles. So it looks like the snow or shiny stuff is coming off of the Merry Christmas in spots. And I thought that was a nice little happy mistake, right? Good morning, Christy. So, you know, try something new. This was new for me. And then I added some Winkostella down here on my snow part. But I love adding a little bit of metallic. And when I see other people using it, I think, why didn't I think of that? Because it really does bring a little extra to your card. So for our card today, this morning, I want to use this Delicate Pine. So I just got this in, and I just feel like it's kind of unique. I mean, it has the pine bough, and it looks like a snowflake, right? So I don't know. It's a little bit unique. It's something a little different, and I like it. So you can layer these stamps. Okay, and it has coordinating dies, so you could stack those up and make a layered snowflake. We're going to keep it kind of simple today. I do have these already stamped, and we can stamp a few more, but here's my idea. So let me show you these products. This is the stamp set, And I love the saying, it's the most wonderful time of the year. This one says it's the most magical time of the year. And then it has celebrate the season, and I like the font. So, and I love this. You can build a wreath with this, but it also has dies. So let me pull these out so there's not such a glare. So you can cut out your snowflakes and these, okay. It has a little pine cone, and then it has a big builder pine cone, which I love. It has some different leaves, berries, and then it has this part and these kind of build together. And I want to use those today to create some elements. So I'm curious, how many of you saw the set, or you've bought it, or you were curious about it? I'd like to know your thoughts on this in the comments. Now, I did want to show you the paper. This is an online suite, so I thought I would pull out the paper and show you because I really just love this. I love the colors, especially the ones that have the dark background. So we're going to be doing a white background today. But it's just, I just really like the whole thing. It's just a little non-traditional, but I love this. I love that it has all different branches that you would maybe see in the winter. And this is fun. I haven't checked it, but this probably works with the die. And even this little piece, they're little dies for these pieces right here that look like the stamp. Okay. So then there's this, again, more branches, but it's on the white background. And then I love this. This is Pretty Peacock, and it has kind of like a, I don't know, it reminds me of a blizzard. Very pretty. And I love this. So this matches the stamp set. And again, this is a little extra piece, and there are dies that will cut that out. So if you want to use your dies on your paper. And I think, I'll tell you all the colors. I think this is Shaded Spruce watercolored. Shaded Spruce has a little bit of a blue look when it's watercolored. But isn't that gorgeous? Now, I haven't figured out how I want to use this page just because it's so pretty. It's so big and pretty. But again, that kind of speckled look. And Old Olive is also in here. So again, this works with all your dies. So if you wanted to die cut everything and layer stuff up, you could. I just really liked it. I really liked all the paper. So we're going to create our own little thing today. Let me tell you the colors of the paper. Let's see. It is Cherry Cobbler, Garden Green, Old Olive, Pretty Peacock, Secret Sea, and Shaded Spruce. So that Shaded Spruce kind of has a blue tint to it when it's watercolored, which I love. Good morning, Maggie. Good morning, Jenny. Joan, I want the other snowflake set too. I still have quite a long list of wants, even though some new things are coming out. Demonstrators got to see the January to April 2026 mini and January online exclusives, and we can start pre-ordering next week. And stuff, yes, we just had new releases in November, and so I'm just trying to pace myself and just make good decisions on what products I want and what I'm going to use. But I do want the other snowflake set. It has a stamp set, dies, and a mask, layering masks that come with it. So that one's cool too. But I want to try to use this one today. So let me show you what I have here. I have picked a color scheme with Pool Party and Pretty Peacock. I know, not your normal winter maybe color scheme, but I pulled the Pretty Peacock color from this suite because it already shows Pretty Peacock, and I do love that kind of blue-green look. And then I thought Pool Party, I think, is always great for a soft snow. So I'm probably not going to use that Old Olive one, but I was testing out how to stamp this. and line it up. So my idea is that we could have some snowflakes that are Pretty Peacock and Pool Party. And if we want to throw in Old Olive, we can. I do have that here. So if we want to throw this color in, that's fine. I like that color. But I have some elements here that are metallic. And so I used the dies to cut these pieces out. Let me separate them here. And I have silver. Okay, so I have a little snowflake element or pine, right? Because it looks like pines, but when you put them all together, I think it's meant to look like a snowflake. And then I have copper. I really love Pretty Peacock with copper. So these layer like this little circle so that you can adhere them together. Isn't that cool? So you could use this on its own, like that. Okay, fun, right? And then you can also layer this like this. So my idea is that we will either use silver or copper, and we're going to layer some of these things up. And we're going to, here's a piece. This is just an extra piece for me to cut more snowflakes. We're going to stamp a background with these different snowflakes and this little one. So we're going to create our own little background here. And then we're going to layer this on top. And our greeting is going to be on a strip. We can either say, it's the most magical time of the year, or celebrate the season. And we're going to put it across our snowflake like this. So we're going to build this up, and we can either do a Pool Party base or a Pretty Peacock. So we'll decide some of those things. That's what we're deciding today. Oh, Deb, I totally understand too. So I hope everything's going well with your healing and that you can get back to your regular crafting. But yes, I love the Modern Christmas set. It's very, very pretty. I only got the paper on that one, but yeah, the mini is all about scrapbooking. Yeah, so there is going to be a lot of scrapbooking stuff. And I do like some. I like both. And I think you can adapt both to meet your needs. So I'm excited about some things, yes. Okay, so we're going to stamp our layer and then layer up our element here. And then we'll have an additional little element like this. And I'm not sure where it's going to go yet, but it's going to tuck in here somehow, okay? It's going to tuck on here somehow. Maybe it'll be on my greeting part. I'm not sure. This is quite large, so it kind of fills the space, but I didn't want a plain background. So guess what? You guys have to start choosing what we're going to do, okay? So, did you like, first we're going to choose the metallic we want to use. And really, even though I'm choosing that first, we could change it up once we stamp our thing. So I'm just trying to figure out how this fits on something like this, okay? So there's the copper, okay? Now let's see the silver. And right now, the silver might not show up as well on the white, but once we stamp it, it'll look different because it'll have things to help separate it. There's our silver. And that's going to layer on top. And then I also have a little silver one here. So what do you guys think? Do you like the silver or do you like the copper? So let's put S or C, just to make it easy. I'm going to have a little coffee break while you guys are chiming in. And if you like Old Olive with it, we can add in Old Olive, or we can stamp Pool Party and kind of make it more monochromatic with just a pop of the metallic. I like that these dies have like a little circle to help you oh, I see a lot of silvers. Oh, I know, Linda. I like them both too. Okay, sorry. I had a message. One is warm and one is cool. Yeah, I guess you could look at it that way too. I love copper with Pretty Peacock. That's why I chose that color. Right. I agree, Maggie. Sometimes it, depending on what, they both work well, and it kind of depends on how you want it to feel at the end. So we can go ahead and start stamping. And keep that in the back of your mind. I did note that a lot of people chose silver, but maybe we'll come back to this choice and see how we like it after we've stamped. So I just love this because you can use this to make cards, and it really is a great it's a great feature that kind of fills up your card space or adds on top of your designer series paper, right? Maybe you just want a little something to go with your greeting. So this is perfect. And I love that it has the circles to make it easy to adhere together. So you could cut these apart and make a wreath, or, you know, you could do lots of things with this. And this is great for scrapbooking too. This is not just for card making. So if you're a scrapbooker, I think these would be great for scrapbooking too. I just like that it's different. Okay, I'm going to move these before I get them all lost and tangled and bent up. Okay, so I don't know what base we're going to pick yet, but these are the two colors I brought over. So Pretty Peacock and Pool Party. We'll decide that later. I have a 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece for the inside, and I have a piece that we're going to stamp same size for the front. And then I have an extra piece here in case we want to stamp some of these and layer them up, because you can layer this and make it a really 3D element. So let me put that out of the way and let's get stamping. Oh, I'm sorry, Christy. Well, I hope your day goes well and you can see the end results later. So there's lots of stamps in this set that I just love. All these little elements. I'm not sure what you would call this, but there's little pieces. And so I love that. But we are going to stamp and see what we can create here. I was looking for any other time I have like 400 things laying here, extra sheets to stamp on, and today I have none. Oh. Okay, I just wanted a little, so that my background here doesn't get all messed up when we're trying to show the final product. Okay, so okay, Linda asked what background I'm using. So you mean that on our layer, Murphy's Law? You're right. Murphy's Law applies to me all the time. So we're going to stamp our own layer and add in our color. So I'm going to, I don't know if I'll stamp the big one because I'm going to layer that one. And we can do a different color. We don't have to do Pretty Peacock, but I think I'm going to stamp some of these and the smaller elements, okay? So I am just going to start grabbing out stamps. Let's do a big one, and then we can fill in with all these little bits. And you can add pine cones in if you want, whatever you like on your background. Vicki, I overdid my cleaning. Well, I think part of the problem is I haven't cleaned again. So I had them in a stack, you know, they're somewhere. So let me show you, beside me I have these two colors because this is what I was playing with, and I also have Old Olive. So what do you guys think? I feel like, let me see what your thoughts are on this. I feel like I should bring in like pecan pie, maybe, if we're choosing copper. Or we could do like a smoky slate if we're choosing silver, and add in some of the little bits so that we have a neutral in there somewhere. What do you guys think? So that's why I was kind of thinking to choose which metallic I was using first. Because I kind of wanted to see what colors I wanted to use. Well, I'm going to start this way. Let's just start, right? Sometimes if I don't love it, guess what? We'll get a new piece, or we'll turn it over. So don't feel like paralyzed by these decisions. If we don't like it, we'll change it. I have an idea. I'm going to tell you what it is in a second. So let me just show you. This stamps like this, okay? And then we have pieces we can layer into that. So I'm just going to start stamping. Ooh, that's really juicy. I've got a really juicy pool party here. Actually, I'm going to pull some of that ink off because it's a little too juicy for me. It looks like Coastal Cabana almost. So sometimes I over ink things, especially when I'm doing things like blending, because I pull a ton of the ink off. So let's try this now. Yeah, that looks a little better. Okay, so I'm just stamping randomly. And I really wish it was a little lighter. Might have to pull some of that ink off. So I'm going to flip this over, okay? So usually if we mess up, we flip it over, right? I'm going to do a little something here. Again, I don't have a scrap. I'm just going to blot that a little bit because it's just, I just took a little bit of ink off. I don't like doing that to my pads, but sometimes if you try to move the ink around and it's just too juicy, I just pull a little bit off. That's more like it. Okay, so just random doing, you know, this medium snowflake, pine snowflake. That's what it is. And let's take this off. Okay, so you can layer this stamp in the middle, which is what I did, okay? Or you can layer this one. So this layers, and you're lining up those 3 dots in the middle. Can you guys see that? Might be hard to see. I haven't used this one yet, so it's pretty sticky. So you're lining up the 3 dots in the middle, and that helps you fill that space that's there, okay? So this is the little, I don't know even what you would call that. Somebody give me a name. What would you call this little thing, which is like this in the middle? I'm just not coming up with a word here. So you can stamp this the same color, or you could stamp it darker, okay? And you can stamp either one. So I'm going to stamp this other one that I haven't used yet. And let's see how it looks. So if you wanted to get fun, kind of like the paper, and use different colors, you could do that. So like here's where you could pull in your greens, or maybe you could do a pretty peacock or a red. Okay, so I got to line up the things so that they fit in between. So I've got 3 circles there, and you can kind of see that. So I'm just going, and I'm kind of looking where those go, like when they pop out, but I'm using those 3 dots kind of as my guide, and then if it doesn't line up right, I'm turning it a little bit to reline up my circles here. And it's, my head's in the way, so I'm kind of having a hard time seeing. But you get the idea. So if it doesn't come out perfect, you know what I'm talking about. See, my middle didn't come out perfect, but that's okay. I think it's because it's pool party. I'm having a hard time seeing it. But there we go. Isn't that pretty? Now on this side, I'm going to do the same thing. Oh, Linda, good luck to your niece. Hockey season. That's exciting. So we'll catch you on the replay. So Joan, you would just call it a leaf. I feel like it's like those little branchy things that stick out, like that you see in arrangements. Oh, that one's a little off, but that's okay. You know, like the winter arrangements. And I'm not sure if they have a name. If they're just a little stick, like a branch. So my middles didn't come out perfect. It's okay. I don't know if you can really even tell. But I thought that looked fun, right? And then we're just going to stamp some other things. So one side, I'm going to do pecan pie. I'm going to move a bunch of stuff here. Grab my ink. And the other side, I'm going to stamp some elements in Smoky Slate. That way we have 2 sides ready to go, no matter which metallic we pick. So I'm going to put this away for a second. I might even bring in that Old Olive. So I'm going to do this little snowflake. Let's see what he looks like. Some of these I haven't stamped with yet. And I re-inked this one, so it's stamping pretty dark. Now, some of this will get covered up, so don't worry too much if it's not perfect, because we are putting that element on. So stamp as much as you want. light on that one. Okay, now let's do, let's do just a little bit of that old olive, smaller block here. I'm going to use this little branch, and you can even stamp those together and make it look like the snowflake shape, okay? And don't worry about if your stuff overlaps. We're just creating a background elements here so that our metallic shows up. Let's start this way. And don't be afraid to go off the page, okay? Maybe overlap one here. I kind of missed. Whoops. That's okay. My snowflake looks a little lopsided. That's all right. We're going to add more things. I feel like I want one right here. And yes, we know snowflakes might not be green, but we're using this set that it looks like branches. So kind of think outside the box a little bit. Now let's do this side. And you don't have to do these like this. You could just do little branches sticking here and there, okay? I just kind of like this. Everything else is going to make the form of a snowflake. So I thought I would do that with this one as well. So, let's see. And I'm going to add in some other elements. So, it's okay if I don't have as many on this side. Okay. Now, let's do this one. And we're going to do this. One side's going to be in the gray, and one side's going to be in that pecan pie. And I'm just filling it in. So there's one side. I'll clean my stamp. I've turned it over in this side. And if you don't like a pretty peacock, that's fine. I just feel like it's going to go well with that copper toned paper. And if you don't like this big one, you could, you know, maybe pick a smaller thing like this little branch and do just here and there. So add it in how you like. Now we're going to layer everything and see which one we like best. Okay? Everybody with me? So I threw all my inks over here. Let's see. And you could have used this little thing. I love this. So you could have used that. You could add pine cones. This is, you know, kind of a big stamp, but you could have definitely put that on there. Okay. So do your background however you like. Okay. So here's this piece. Now we can kind of see, and I'm going to use the dark background, but we may pick Pool Party. And I don't know if you guys want to stamp some more of these, but let me know in the comments what you think. So this is the copper side. I feel like I should glue these together and make it easier to hold. Let's try that. I'm going to use glue dots. I think that might be the easiest. Sorry if I'm out of camera. And with the glue dots, hopefully I can kind of adjust it a little bit where I need it to go. And I do have some bits to pick out here. Let me get take your pick tool. Just don't poke yourself when you do this. I didn't poke all of them out when I did my die cutting. Looks like it's going to be kind of stubborn with me. Okay. Slowly getting there. All right, good enough. Good enough. Now I get a big mess everywhere. So this will kind of go like that. And then this will layer. Like I said, I might have to adjust some of these. It'll layer so that that's peeking out. Let me put the silver one together. And we will decide. Like I said, we don't have to have the pretty peacock base, but I think it just helps helps you see the colors. And see how that circle makes it so easy to create your snowflake? You could line it up better than I have, I'm sure. Okay, so we can create a piece that layers. You might not like the green. We might want a pool party. Okay. And then just have a little bit of green in the background to break up the color. So there is the copper. And here is the silver. So the smoky slate is, you know, a lot. Actually, I'm going to turn it this way because I have a whole bunch stamped on the top part and not as much toward the bottom. So this would layer like that. So which one do you like? Let's vote. Do you like the copper or the silver? So originally everyone picked, or not everyone, but most people picked silver as our metallic. So now I'm curious if you have the same thoughts. And again, we can stamp one of these to layer, okay? And then remember, our greeting is going to kind of go across like this, okay? What do you think? So let me know your thoughts. Currently have metallic bits all over me. And you know, it might make a difference if you, whoa, that's really bright, isn't it? So there's the silver. I'll do the copper again, just so you guys can see it. So let's move that to the side. Again, I don't think I like the green, this part green with the copper. I think I would like maybe pool party, something to kind of brighten that copper. Okay, I see everyone still saying silver. Okay, let's do silver. So I'm going to pull that one off to the side. We're going to use this side. And I still don't know which base we're going to choose. But what we need to decide is if we want this layered. And do we want the one I already have stamped, or do we want a new one that might, you know, be in pool party? I think I like the green with this one. What do you guys think? While you're deciding, I am going to put my silver thing together that goes with this. Now, you could layer this. So if you were using this by itself, I'm going to show you with this one, you could add these in and just keep building on top of this. And it makes a really cool snowflake. So this would be a really cool accent, and just have a greeting over top of it. There's just I feel like there's so many ways you could use it. Hello, Carol. You like it with the green? Okay. Well, let's keep it. That makes it easy for me. And then I don't have to pull in my little die cut machine, but I would have. So I do want to give you a couple tips. I'm going to tell you some tips about die cutting with your foil. So isn't that cute? So we're going to use this somehow. I'm not sure how it's going to fit, but we're going to figure it out. It might tuck in here somewhere like that. Okay, so we have those little pieces. Now, let me give you the tip for the foil. So I'm going to bring in my plates here, just to give you kind of a instruction. So this is for the mini. But when you place, I don't have a piece of foil. Hold on. Okay. So when you die cut your foil, okay, and you put your die, I'm just going to throw one on here so you can see what I'm talking about. So your die goes here and your plate goes on. And usually you run it through, and then you notice all this texture on my plate from where I've been die cutting. It transfers to your metallic foil papers. So my little tip for you, so that you can save this and not get it textured, is you just take a plain piece of paper and then you put this on top, okay? And when you run it through, this little piece of paper will help protect your foil or your metallic paper from getting all those little textures on them. So I did want to share that because earlier I was die cutting and I forgot to do that, even though I knew. And well, now I have a textured piece of copper paper or silver paper, whichever paper I had. So okay. Now, let's see, Maggie, you had a question and you cardstock. I guess, are you asking me a question about this, the sandwich, or this one? Yes, Joan, the foil papers, a lot of the specialty papers, okay, it's not just foil, but any of the papers that are shiny, they can mark up very easy. So that's what I do. And this is just like a piece of willow white. I wouldn't use thick cardstock because that's going to make your sandwich. Oh, okay, yes, that's going to make your sandwich too thick, but this is just like the willow white, like the two-tone. But I've also used just regular basic white. Once I ruin a piece, I just kind of keep using that to put in to the sandwich. So when you're using the regular sized cut and emboss, I do my number 1, my number 2, my cutting plate, my foil paper, my die, and then just a piece of paper. You can try it with copy paper, but I do find the willow white works pretty well. And I just kind of keep a scrap over there for it. Ooh, Joan, you use tissue paper. Okay, and that worked really well. Now, I have not tried tissue paper. That's why I said, you know, you just don't want it to be too thick because then your sandwich doesn't want to fit through your machine. So kind of play with it. Your machine might be a little bit different from mine. The roller tightness can be different from machine to machine, so just play with it. Okay, so now we're going to decide what we want this to say. So this is a big celebrate the season. I love that. And then we have it's the most magical time of year, and I think that would fit too. My only thing is when I have things like this, I like to cut those little loops out that kind of stick up because the rest of it's so thin. So that would fit. And then the other one we have in the set is warmest winter wishes. And I think that could fit too. I do kind of like the longer greetings. When I was kind of mentally planning out this card, I was kind of thinking to celebrate the season. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, and we're going to finish up this card. And I'm also going to stamp my inside piece. So now that I know we're going with silver, I'm going to stamp the inside piece. So let's choose celebrate the season. Let's do number 1 for that. Or number 2, it's the most magical time of year. Hopefully you guys can see those. I haven't stamped them. I don't know what color we're stamping in yet, but I am going to take my inside piece here. I'm going to bring my scrap paper back in, and I'm going to pull some of these colors into the inside. And I might stamp off a little bit just so that it's not as dark on the inside. So I'm using that same medium. I have a little bit of die cut on my paper. So it's very light, and I'm okay with that. I'm just going to throw these over here and clean them later. So I'm just coming in with the same things that I used on the front. And it's very faint, so I'm just guessing. And I'm just adding into that with all the same colors. We're just going to create a little collage here on the inside. So 1 is celebrate the season. 2 is it's the most magical time of year. Okay, I see a lot of celebrate the seasons votes here. Okay. And then one other thing here. And then our inside is done. Okay, I think I have more votes for the celebrate the season, so we'll go with that one. Now we have to decide what that is going to be stamped in. So let me throw everything over there. So this is our inside. See how I just did it really faint? You could do it full force if you want. I just like my inside, the inside stamped off. Okay, so that's ready to go. Now let's pull these down. So what are we thinking for color? Do you think it should be pretty peacock? Do you think it should be smoky slate? So, you know, sometimes it's nice to have the greeting a lighter color. Does it make a difference to you if it's on Pool Party or Pretty Peacock? So that's Pool Party, and this is Pretty Peacock. I don't know, Pool Party might look good. All right, let's get some strips out here and start stamping our greetings and see what we like. So I'm going to put it's the most magical time of year away. I love that saying though. Definitely would have picked that. Use that. It's the most wonderful time of year. I have several of those in different fonts, and they're different. Some of them are like stacked and some are just one length. And so I really like that. Okay, let's just start stamping and see which one we want. Okay. Okay, there's celebrate the season. Let's see, I'm thinking one of these 3 colors. I'm kind of leaning toward the Pool Party. How about you guys? Oh, I didn't stamp that one very good. Let me try that again. So remember, when you guys are using the photopolymer stamps, which is all of our new stamps will be photopolymer. So all the stamps that came out in November are photopolymer, and all the stamps that will be in the mini are going to be photopolymer. You'll want to have a good surface so that you get a nice impression, and you'll either want the glass mat or a Stampin' Pierce mat. Okay, so there are my 3 colors. You guys like Pretty Peacock? Well, you know, I have to try all of them. So me... I think I'm going to do an angled like that. So there is Smoky Slate. Okay, now that's on the Pretty Peacock background. Let's just put that one away. There is Pool Party. So that doing it in Pool Party kind of brings that Pool Party color from the background to the front. And that's kind of what I'm leaning for, but I want you to see it. And then here is Pretty Peacock, which is typically the color I would choose. So those are the three colors. Now you've seen it on, back down here. You've seen it on the Pretty Peacock base. Now let's try it on this one because this may change your mind. So let's go through them again. So there's Smoky Slate. Oops. Pool Party. And Pretty Peacock. Did any of those choices change your mind? Did the card base change your mind on what you might pick? I'm curious. Let's get some chatter in the comments and decide which way we like it. And we will finish up our card. We already have the inside stamped, so it's all ready to go. All we have to do is assemble once we make these last two decisions. So the color of the greeting and the color of the card base. So do you want Pretty Peacock card base with, so you can say pretty with, and then tell me the color of the greeting, or pool, and then with the color of the greeting, and then we'll glue it. So what do you guys think? So you like Pretty Peacock with Pretty Peacock. Okay. Anyone else want to throw their thoughts in there? Oh, so pretty with pretty. See a trend here. I love seeing how you would finish your card. You know, sometimes when you're just crafting by yourself, you know, they say we talk to ourselves, right? Because we have to decide these things on our own. So I love to hear what you would choose while you're making your card. I think I already know what I would choose. And I know, you know, when you kind of learn your style and you embrace that, you already know what you're going to pick sometimes. But sometimes I surprise myself and I end up not how I thought. You like the dark? Okay. I think everybody is kind of going with this, which works. So look, I have things ready to go for my next card. And I'm going to trim this so that it's angled. So I just take my scissors and I trim it, and then I use my little piece I cut off to kind of gauge how I want that angle to go on this end. And then I cut along it. There we go. Isn't that pretty? Okay, there's our card. Now we're just ready to glue. And I'm not sure if I want this hanging out up here. I kind of thought maybe I should put it here. What do you guys think? Should I layer it here? Or is it too distracting? I'm gonna crease this. I gotta think about that. Thank you for the love. What did I do here? So my Pretty Peacock base is 5.5 by 8.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4. Now, you could make this portrait, which is what I have done, or you could turn it and it could be landscape, okay? So you could do this like this, and I don't have all these adhered together. So you could do this like this. And kind of make that peek out like that. I kind of like that better. And even though I've already stamped this, because I stamped it like it was portrait, it works for landscape as well. So I'm gonna mess you guys all up, and I'm gonna change the orientation. Sorry, you know, sometimes when you start assembling, you just like it a certain way. And let me show you a little trick. So I cut this and then I stamped on both sides, and this side has just a little bit of a lip from where I cut it. I'm just going to take my bone folder and run it along the edge to smooth that out so it doesn't feel uneven. So I don't know if you can really tell on camera, but you can kind of feel it. So if you don't like that, maybe it doesn't bother you at all, then don't worry about it, right? But if you don't like that, that's how you can kind of smooth the edge. I'll be really honest, I never ever noticed that as a card maker until one of my customers pointed it out. Because she said, I can't flip my paper over because it has that edge. Like if she makes a mistake. And I thought, okay, well, I understand that, but I guess I just never thought about it. Okay, so I did pretty good, I think, on getting this. I'm just making sure I've got some more bits in there that didn't come out. So yeah, sometimes even, you know, as long as you haven't stamped the inside and you don't have words, sometimes you might start assembling your card and decide you like it a different way. So I want this more toward this end. And I'm just going to adhere where that is. So you can use liquid glue or a glue dot. I'm just going to do a little liquid glue right here on that handy little circle. And then I'm going to, now I will say you might want to use a stronger adhesive on here. So if you're using seal, it might not stick as well to the metallic. I'm trying not to break that off, but so you just want to use a good adhesive, okay? I'm using liquid. You could use glue dots. You can use tear and tape. I am not using dimensionals. If these are hand-delivered cards, feel free to add as much dimension as you want. I just want mine to lay flat. Let's see. So I just put adhesive there in the middle. And then I think I'm going to adhere this one out here. I'm going to make it so that it lines up a little bit with my greeting. And you'll notice this happens with the dies, that little spot where it, you know, it has the little hole to punch it out. I could have taken my bone folder and smoothed it a little bit, but I'm not too worried about it. I'm going to cover it up a little bit like this. And I didn't use any dimensionals. I've layered quite a bit of things here. So I'm just kind of letting them be. So I didn't do it right through the middle, and that's okay. I am going to tuck a glue dot in here. Oh, well, definitely for dies. I definitely feel that way. Like if you die cut something, especially if it has texture or or stitching or something. But I don't feel that way for paper I've cut. I feel like you can flip it over, and I think I got a little crooked, but that's okay. I think you can flip it over and smooth it out. So that really is a thing. See, I just never, and I notice it now, but I never noticed that before. And I had been making cards for probably 15 years or more. And I guess it never bothered me. So that's okay if it does bother you. I'm just telling you a little tip so that if you do what I did and you stamp both sides so that you can choose the color. Do I want this at the top or at the bottom? I kind of like it at the bottom. Anyway, so if you don't like that, I'm just saying you could use your bone folder and smooth it out. And I feel like it works really, really well. Hopefully that helps. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. So, you can see the sparkle. And I do, now you could emboss things on the back, but if you're like me and you just like to do a quick card and you don't want all the mess, I do think Smoky Slate can kind of mimic that silver color. And then the silver, the die cuts kind of pop out. And I don't know if I lined mine up perfect, but I think they work okay. And then we have the inside. It's all ready for my message. You could stamp it Merry Christmas with one of your favorite Merry Christmas stamps, or you could just handwrite in your message. So I hope you've enjoyed getting to know these products. I love the stamp set. I plan to make lots more cards, and I like the die. So I used this die, and then there's 3 of these, so it makes it really easy. Like I said, there's a big pine cone. You could make a wreath. There's another little leaf in here, and there's berries. So we have these berries that cut out in a cluster of 3, and then we have some single ones. So I love winter berries. So I've been collecting a lot of the sets that have dies that do berries or stamps that do berries. So you could make this, and then you could have die cut some berries to put in the middle and stack them up. So lots of fun. Thank you. Thank you so much, ladies. I appreciate you all. So a little bit of fun, not your traditional colors, but it's not a traditional set. So I definitely was thinking up some fun things for this. So thank you for the love. I hope you all enjoy your day, and try adding some metallic to your cards, even if it's just a little something to go behind your greeting and on top of your beautiful designer series paper. So thank you all. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.